Brazil, more political alliances are taking place ahead of October the 30th runoff in the country's presidential election. British Premier Liz Truss announced that she will resign in just 6 weeks in office. And undetermined number of people were killed when police clashes with demonstrators in Chad. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Brazil, the Superior Electoral Court will investigate an alleged disinformation network to favor the candidacy of current President Jair Bolsonaro. The decision of the Superior Electoral Court was in response to a lawsuit issued by the campaign of the candidate and former President Luis Lula da Silva, in which they denounced an alleged disinformation scheme led by the councilman Carlos Bolsonaro, son of the current president. In this regard, the president of the Supreme Electoral Tribunal, Alexandre de Moraes, assured that there is a proliferation of fake news and a growing aggressiveness of hate speeches since the beginning of the electoral campaign. Therefore, the TSE established that in internet campaigns themselves should identify the owners of the same method profiles on social networks that supported this campaign of the misinformation and violence aimed at spreading lies about Luis Lula da Silva and his candidacy. And in Bolivia, the government of President Luis Arce is beating off dialogue to confront a new destabilizing campaign by the right wing against the popular consensus. From the Department of Santa Cruz, the stronghold of the country's right-wing governor, Fernando Camacho, is leading the idea of an indefinite strike in response to the postponement of the population census, a process that the right-wing believes will provoke a redistribution of legislative seats favorable to their interests. Camacho declared that the stoppage will be called on Saturday if the executive does not revert its decision to hold the census in 2024. President Luis Arce summoned social and union movements to dialogue and called for unity and popular mobilization to face the attack. Peru's Ministry of Justice and Human Rights warned that the government of President Pedro Castillo faces the threat of coup d'etat due to repeat attacks in only 15 months in office. The Minister of Justice, Felix Cheto, made a reference to the repeated interpellations, censors, and even motions of vacancies that in a little more than a year were presented from the Congress of the Republic. The high official points out that these acts threaten the democratic institutional lead, the figure of the president, and the works of the executive. Cheto underlined that the opposition forces seeks to instrumentalize the vacancy requests as well as interpellation of ministers in order to later advance in the censure requests against the government. In the aftermath of violent clashes on Wednesday in Bogotá, Colombian President Gustavo Petro said his government will provide humanitarian assistance to the indigenous community. Petro said that there are thousands of indigenous people from 94 communities displaced by violence in Bogotá who suffered discrimination for speaking their own dialect instead of Spanish because government officials do not have the requested education to be able to assist them. He also said the agreement signed by the previous government will be honored and that peace in Alto and Guerra will be instrumental to solve a problem of ethnic misunderstanding on the center of Bogotá. In this regard, the Minister of Interior stated they have reached an agreement to extend a dialogue and provide immediate attention to solve this humanitarian issue. Construction workers in Uruguay are carried out a national strike in defense of social rights and demanding the government to adopt measures to face the increase of poverty and unemployment.
Colleagues continue to arrive from the different workplaces. Today the entire construction industry is mobilizing from every corner of the country. The problem is very clear. The day before yesterday, during all these months, the government has announced that the economy has grown, that it will continue growing. In fact, even the International Monetary Fund came out yesterday to affirm it. But at the same time that the economy is growing, inequity is growing as a result of the policies that this government carries out. That is why we are here today, as we were yesterday at the university gates, to march to the Legislative Palace, because education is being cut, and this is a problem for the workers' children, for the future generations, but also for the construction workers.
Relatives of missing people in Dominican Republic remain vigilant in front of the National Palace in order to demand more attention from the authorities regarding this problem. In the last day of protest, several groups of people described as alarming the number of people who disappeared and are waiting to know their whereabouts. Those present announced that among the disappeared there are men, women, young people, and children, and from 2019 to 2022, which adds up to 688. They also qualified as absurd the protocol according to which the police recorded that relatives must wait at least 3 days to start searching for people reported missing. A spokeswoman urged authorities to initiate inquiries to determine what is happening to healthy young adults who are disappearing.
It has been 5 months of uncertainty, 5 months of anguish, of desperation, of impotence. That is why I asked the President of the Republic, Luis Abinader, to help us, to help all these families. We need the missing persons unit to be restructured. We need our missing relatives to be searched. We need an answer, Mr. President. The people count. The population counts. We voted. You are there because we put you there. Answer, Mr. President. I want an answer. Where is my son? I want to know that the authorities are looking for them. Not only the families, because all are in the street, because the staff is too few.
In El Salvador, a recent survey revealed the concern expressed by citizens about the country's economic situation. According to a survey by the University Institute of Public Opinion of Jose Simone Caña, Central American University, 6 out of 10 people are worried about the situation of the economy. The study found that 26.9% of those consulted answered that the main problem was the economic crisis, while 18.2% reflected on a high cost of living and 15.9% referred to unemployment. Likewise, 89.5% considered that there is an increase in the prices of basic food basket. And we'll take a short break now, but remember you're going to follow us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. British Prime Minister Liz Truss announced on Thursday that she will resign after just 6 weeks in office following a disastrous economic plan that sent the pound pumping and her government into chaos. Having been formally appointed by the Queen Elizabeth II on September the 6th, Trudy is now the shortest serving premier in British history and will be remembered as one of the most disastrous. The previous holder of this record, George Kenyon, lasted at 119 days in the early 19th centuries. A leadership contends to decide the next leader of the ruling Conservative Party, who will be default become the next premier, is now underway and will conclude in the next week. In the United Kingdom, following the Prime Minister's resignation, citizens gave their views of the work of government and the crisis facing the European Union.
It's just a last long tale and a lot of shambles, basically. I mean, I think it's a bit of an embarrassment to the country, if I'm honest with you, but it's the right thing to happen. But, you know, we need to get ourselves together pretty quickly, is my answer.
It's the right thing to happen. Needed to happen. Feel for a bit. Don't want to see a fellow human in that kind of situation, but it's definitely the right thing.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, I don't think it's very good for the electorate. Like, it shows we've made the bad decision because we've picked someone who doesn't understand what's going on. And it looks pretty poorly on us as well, frankly, as a country.
In France, transportation and energy workers continue on an inter-union strike. The strike at Carpelines, France's largest nuclear power plants, continued after management rejected union demands for a 5% wage rise. Nicolas Desjardins, union secretary of the CET at Carpelines plant, said workers are motivated. In addition to the walkout at several refineries, which is causing a serious fuel shortage problem, there is a more decrease, but very partial strike by maintenance workers at 5 nuclear power plants operated in electricity defense, a company under the total state control and heavily in debt. This protest is affecting a total 9 reactors at the Canton, Triscadines, Buch, Cross, and Carpelines atomic facilities. There are more than 100 tankers loaded with liquefied natural gas waiting near the Spanish coast for permission to unload their cargo. However, Spanish transmission system operators warned that unloading might be the hill for the duration of the state of emergency. If the congestion of a liquefied natural gas tanker ship is not resolved soon, the ships might start looking for other seaports outside of the European Union to unload their cargo. According to officials in the gas sector, the only 6 connections for the regasification are available at the local gas terminals in Spain this week. European Union leaders gathered on Thursday in Brussels for a summit as they clash over how to overcome Europe's energy shock, with France and Germany at lengths over imposing a limit on gas prices pushes worries by the conflict in Ukraine. The bloc's 27 member states have been deferring for the months over measures to lower energy bills. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz answered back at these critics, and it was clear that Germany has acted in solidarity with his UN partners. French Minister Emmanuel Macron and France's role is to do everything to assure that there is European unity and that Germany is a part of it. In a sign of possible easing of tensions, France agreed to build a green energy pipeline linking Spain to and Portugal to the rest of Europe. Berlin is seeking an alternative to Russian gas supply that it has relied on for decades. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited at a training camp in the Ryazan region, where he supervised the combat training of mobilized soldiers. Within the framework of his visit, the president verified witnesses of soldiers to perform tasks in the area of Operation Special Military Operation. The Defense Ministry Sergei briefed putting on the combat training course of the mobilized soldiers in several specialties as well as on coordination between units. The Russian president visited shooting complex and inspected the classes of the mobilized soldiers in tactical, fire, engineering, and medical training. On Thursday, Russia warned about the possibility of a direct confrontation with NATO over arms supplies it has threatened to Ukraine. Russian Foreign Minister spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said that the European military alliance is approaching a dangerous line of direct military confrontation with Russia. The Russian official points out that NATO member states have not stopped supplying the Kiev regime with arms, ammunition, troops training, and guidance of the conduct of hostilities in the eastern region. Zakharova stressed that the total military cooperation from the West to Ukraine amounts to more than $42 billion, more than half of it comes from the U.S. Now we have more news coming up after this financial break, so don't go away. Welcome back. An undetermined number of people were killed when police clashes with demonstrators in the Chadi capital during a banned protest against the ruling military. These clashes are taking place after the extension of the transition for 2 years. But at the end of September, the President Mohamed Idris Deby was finally maintained as president until free and democratic elections were celebrated. This decision following an increase in foreign national dialogue boycotted by the large part of the opposition has furthered and bestirred the political and armed opposition and embraced the international community, which has endorsed Deby 18 months ago. On April 20, 2021, following the death of Marshal Deby, who was killed by rebels, the army proclaimed his son, Mohamed Deby, a 37-year-old general, at the head of a board of 15 generals for a transitional period of 18 months leading to elections. Young protesters clashed on Thursday with security forces in Guinea capital Conakry. The National Front of the Defense of the Constitution, which had called the protest, said 5 people had suffered gunshots wounds, one of whom was in critical conditions. The West African state has been under military government since September 2021 coup that Assad President Alpha Condé, after more than 10 years in power. The social movement had called for peaceful demonstrations to take place in Conakry on Thursday, followed by nationwide protests on October 26. In Somalia, at least 21 people were killed after 2 attacks by terrorist group Al-Shabaab. The events were recorded in the state of Hirshabelle. The first claimed the life of 15 people in the city of Jalaxy. A vehicle was detonated at a checkpoint near local government buildings and a peacekeeping force base deployed in Djibouti. Among the dead is Mohamed Omar, the Barashi mayor of the city. The second attack was registered in the city of Bulbarde. There the terrorists crashed a motorcycle into a bridge and killed 6 people. The Somali military authorities confirmed both attacks. At least 150 people have been killed in Sudan aimed at a new episode of tribal violence in the Blue Nile state. On Wednesday, they clashed in an expression of tribal tensions of the region marred by a dispute over land. In Sudan, where more than 3% of the GDP comes from agriculture and cattle raising, there is an ancestral tradition that forbids the Hausa tribe from owning land under the pretext that they were their last ones to arrive to that territory. The 2021 coup d'etat weakens the institutions that contain such tensions. United Nations report some 65,000 people displaced by the conflict between July and October of this year alone. And with that story, we have come to the end of this brief. But you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For TeleSUR English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.